and this is how it works. How old are you?
50.
All right. So, level whole life works like this. Life insurance is really expensive between the age of 70 and 100. Why is that?
Because you're gonna croak.
Right. Higher risk, you're sick, you're gonna croak, right? So it's really expensive during that time. Now when you're new and you're starting and you're 20, 30, 40 years old, it's not quite as expensive, right? But they take this time and they average it. Okay, so that's less money, right? But what they do with whole life is they take the whole thing and they average it from the time you start till you're 100. Therefore, it's way more expensive for less coverage. These are the commercials you see, right? Oh, we'll give it to you $50 a month. But when you stop the commercial AARP and go up to the TV and read it, maximum coverage, $2,500.
Wow.
Right? And so that's what happens. Whole life is always based on, oh, Jeff, I'm gonna need something to erase this.
Oh, okay.
Is always based on age, and every year that you get older, it costs more money. All right. The second type of whole life is called cash value or universal life, universal adjustable premium. There's lots of words for this, but there's really only three kinds of insurance: level or paid up, right? Cash value and term. All right.
I don't know the papers.
We only, yeah, that's great. We only do term at Primerica, and I'll show you that. So this is how cash value works. Let's say you were paying $100 a month, all right? And part of the money went towards insurance, and part of the money went towards a cash value or a retirement account, okay? So you pay $100, but the actual cost of your insurance at that age is only like 25 bucks, right? Well, you paid $100, so that left you what? 75 bucks. $75 went towards that cash value. Now we said cash value or whole life does what? Every year you get older, the price goes up. So you got older, your price went to 30, so $100 paid, 30 went to pay the insurance, and 70 went to the cash value. All right, so you just because of illustrations, it might only be $1, 50 cents, right? It might take years to go through this, but because we don't have years, we're just gonna kind of go through it quickly. Next year you got older, what happened? 40, 60. Then what? 50, 50. Now it's tipping over. Now it's 60, 40, 70, 30, 80, 20, 90, 10, till finally what? The insurance cost $100. So this is years down the road. You're covered for that $100,000 of coverage, right? And you're paying $100 a month. At this point, you could have $30,000 or $40,000 saved in this cash value account, and they're giving you an interest rate of the average of 4%. Now that's better than the bank 0.0001, but not as good as an investment, right? Of 6, 9, 12%. And what happens? It's tied to your insurance. So you can borrow from this money, and let's say you wanted to borrow it. It's not like a 401k where you borrow from your own money and then you pay yourself back the interest. It's a loan. It's a loan from the insurance company on your money, and they're going to charge you between 7 and 25% interest. And there's a surrender fee of up to 25%.
Right.
I think Debbie Rio had one yesterday or the day before, and she posted it. It was 48% surrender fee.
They say surrender, they mean surrender.
Yeah, so and who gets that? The company, right? The insurance company. So if you borrow, let's say you borrow $10,000 as a loan. This drops to $20,000. Your 4% interest goes to 0 until you pay that $10,000 back plus fees and interest. So your $20,000 is sitting there now getting 0. Tell me, do you think that the insurance company is getting 0 on your money? It's under someone's mattress? Or do you think they're investing it at 12, 18%, super aggressive? Because why? They have mass amounts of people, right?
They can be aggressive as they want.
That's right. So the other thing is, you won't be able to borrow this money until the first, maybe third or fourth year, because the first 3 years, 4 years, depending on your policy, it all goes to their fees. So it would be like you going to a bank, doing a deposit every single month, and then wanting to go get that money out of the bank, and they would tell you, no, you can't come back until year number 3. And when you do, there'll be about $200 in there. So that's not a great banking institution for your money or your retirement, is it? No. Listen, why did I get their insurance before? Because if I start talking this and they have this policy, will I ever get to see that policy?
No.
Never. You have to get it before you even start the diagrams.
Well,
Because they'll freak out. They'll be like, that's not mine. I don't have that. My brother sold me that. He wouldn't have done that to me. But if you have it and you tell them, listen, we'll go over yours. Yours may not work this way. We'll look at it. It does work that way, and I know that. But I don't want them to have anxiety the entire time I'm talking.
yeah.
So that's how it works. Now listen, you can borrow this money. So let's say you pass away right now. This happened, you got a loan and you died. In your policy, it's gonna state that you get the cash or the insurance amount. Which one do people take? The insurance, because it's more, right? Well, who do you think gets to keep the $20,000?
They do, of course.
Yep, they do, but here's what else happens. They take the loan that you borrowed
Yes.
out of the proceeds.
Yes. Plus.
And plus fees, and you only get 90 because you already took 10. That is how the cash value works.
Here's your money.
But listen, this isn't even the worst part of this policy. The worst part is what happens most of the time is people get older because let's say you didn't borrow this money and let's say you didn't die. You got older, and what did we talk about? What happens every year you get older? The price goes.
Premium goes up.
Yep, so now
When
it's
you're older, it goes more.
$150 a month. Well, you're still paying $100 and you still have 20 years left. So $50 a month, because now it's $150. Where are they getting the $50 a month?
Out of your cash value.
They take it from your cash value and it pays the premium.
God, this is murder. No wonder it went nuts.
I know. And then what happened? Next year you got older. Now this is every month. $50 a month out of there.
Through the
It's
agent.
$175. It's $75 a month. Where do they get it? How long is this going to be there, guys?
Not long.
No.
One, and now it's 200. Now you're 75, and it's 230, 290, 300, 400. You're 80 years old. Here's what happened. You get a bill in the mail. It says, thank you so much for being our client for 20 years. We appreciate your business. But if you don't pay $497 in the next 30 days and every month
All
thereafter,
canceled.
you no longer have coverage and your insurance is lapsed.
They send that letter.
This is what we do. This is why we do what we do. Because you don't ever want someone's grandma, your mom, right, going through that. Because in actuality, if she would have got the right kind of insurance, it would have cost her what? $25. And if she would have taken that $75 a month and invested it, your grandmother would probably have $2 million so that she could live.
Wow.
So they send you that notice, just a quick question, Lisa. I mean,
Yeah.
When you run out of cash value is
When they send you the notice
Actually,
that says,
it's when you fall below the minimum.
no, they don't, because we have people that worked for whole life. What happens is they get an alert in their system.
Right, but they don't.
They get an alert in their system that says this person's gonna be equal, right? So now it's $100. Go back and up their premium to $250 for 4 more years to cover them to where they're still not drawing from that. So the insurance companies get little reminders. Hey, go see this person. You need an additional $73 a month, or their insurance is gonna lapse in 3 years and 2 months.
Okay.
I just had one that they got the policy in 2009, and one of them's premiums were $149. I can't remember if it was his or hers. And 5 years later, the insurance agent called them and said, let's get you some more insurance because you're getting older. Sold them another policy for $50,000, and the payment was $700 and something a year. So in 5 years,
I
it went from
still like-
149 to 700 in 5 years.
So what they do is they nurse them along to the edge of the cliff. They help them get
And then
close,
they have no choice after.
and then they have to surrender it or whatever.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, well, by the time it's already
It's
gone.
it's
It's
gone.
gone. There's no money left.
Yeah, they wanna take your money, have you gone off the policy before you die.
Yep.
That's how this.
It's all set up.
And,
The terms
and
are
whole
set
life
that
agents
way.
gets paid 5 times more than we do, and we make great money. We make great money. We make the whole year premium. Someone does something for $100 a month, we're getting paid $1,200. You have the potential to make a ton of money. They get paid 5 times the amount.
Those
Right.
first
So it's
2 years,
all-
nothing's going in their cash.
Because
value.
who? They paid the what? The agent.
Right. So every time that agent goes out to increase it, they get paid on it.
They get paid again.
So that's why Primerica beats people on price, because they're,
Oh,
Our
price
model- our
and
model's
value
different.
and, yeah, I mean, price, even term.
yeah,
Term's the cheapest insurance you can buy, we still get beat them on price.
yeah.
Our model's
Right,
different.
because
So
they
you
don't have the
generate-
terminal illness rider, they don't have the increasing benefit rider, they don't have the premium remains level until 100 years old. It says so right in our policy.
Right.
And no proof of insurability. No one can touch us. You have 100% closing ratio if you do it right, because no one, product to product, we smoke them. You just got to get them to understand it and just go with it, right? And believe it. And then when you bring that policy back, you show them everything. All right, so I finished that. Now I say, don't worry. We don't do either of those. We only do term. And our term is substantially better than any other term that's available. And I'm going to show you how that works right now. So tell me, I already know how old you are. So you said you were 50, but let's say you're 40. All right?
Too bad.
Right? So, well, actually, it would be 75, right?
Mhm.
Because they have a 35-year term. So then you figure out, and you'll know this with experience, how many years they can have their term. So does everybody know the guidelines? It is in POL, right? So up to what does it change? Does anybody know that?
Right? 50?
Well, at 50, right, it takes your 35 down to 30. And then 60, you go to a 20. 70 is a 10. Or no, I think 65 is a 15, and then 70 is a 10. So as you get older, your term goes low,
Gotcha.
less,
Gotcha.
right?
80 is the base. Well,
80, you can, I've got people to 80, right?
Right.
Because you could do a 20-year
Yeah.
and a 60-year-old.
Got it.
Yeah, and 65, I think you still do a 15-year. So 80 is where you usually leave them. Okay, great. So you mentioned a little bit to me about your group life, Kip.
Yeah.
And you had said that it does 1.5 times your salary. You
Yes.
said you made $50,000 a year, right? So
Mhm.
you were covered for $75,000.
Mhm.
So the national average is really depending on your family situation. If you have infants in the house, or 1 or 2 or 5-year-olds, right? 10 years isn't enough to make sure those kids are going to be okay until they're actually moved out or in
Right, right,
college.
right.
But the average, the average is 10 years. So let's just say 10 years, and we can look at that when you do your financial plan, so that we'll know exactly what your needs are. So we believe that you should be covered for 10 years. And I'm sure your beautiful wife would understand that that would make her feel really good financially, right? If she had that backing, knowing that if something happened to you, because it's already devastational if you die, but now she doesn't have to worry about her finances, right? So 500,000. Kip, what do you feel that you could invest in your family as a monthly payment
Mhm.
to cover this life insurance?
I'm 40 years old.
Yeah. So what do you feel that you could pay for that?
150.
$150 a month. All right. So what did I just do, guys?
That was it. That was the close. Well, that's the close. You know how much you
You
can.
just got the information you need.
Right.
And what? I know what he just told me.
Mhm.
We're closing,
Right.
Yes.
right? Why?
you know
Because he said. And how did I ask it?
Invest.
What did I say?
How much you feel that you could put into your family? How much could you?
Invest in your family. I didn't say what can you afford, because what can
Right.
you afford and what do you want to invest in your family is 2 different questions.
Right.
And you'll get 2 different answers if you ask the same person those 2 questions.
Yes.
What can you afford? Nothing, I'm broke. What do you feel like you want to invest in your family?
Yeah.
$100 a month,
Mhm.
right? It's just a question, and it just depends how you ask it. All right, so awesome. So our term is really amazing. So you're 40 years old. We would cover you for 35 years with a term. So there's a theory of decreasing responsibility that when you're younger, right, you have children, you have
Mortgage.
income, mortgage, debt, you have low cash, right? So as you get older, right, for retirement, your cash becomes more available. Why? Because from this age here, you have a lot of expenses, and from here, you're not so derivative on your income. You're retired, right? Your responsibilities become less and your cash becomes more. So here you're retired, you don't need as much insurance. But who's to say, Kip, at 74 you don't need insurance, or you do, in 75 in 1 month you don't? There's no way to tell that right now. So Primerica has a solution for this, because every other term, right, in the beginning you are required a medical exam, and what happens over the next 35 years is
You don't get healthier.
You don't get healthier, that's right. Every other term insurance requires another medical at the end of the term. So what does that mean? That means what? Those people, their odds of keeping that insurance when they probably need it the most are null. Because why? They got sick, they had a heart attack, they have diabetes, whatever reason, right? Our company requires no medical at the end of the term. We will continue coverage based on the theory of decreasing responsibility, as in you don't need as much insurance. So it's going to drop approximately 50%. So that means what? You'll have what? About how much coverage? From 500 to 250. You'll have 25 years to go through it. So what does that mean? It's going to go down how much? 10,000 every year until you're 100. And at 100, you no longer have coverage or a need for coverage, right? Because by that time, it's just your funeral expenses. Here's the other thing.
really good.
We talked about what? Investing. Because if you started investing now, what happens over those times, right? You're going to ride all those ups and downs, right? Because now what? You'll be 65, 70 years old. You'll have your retirement. So I made sure we covered you if you died. But now what? We also made sure we covered you if you live.
In other words, that's their investment program
Started now, so they have the money, because this is the money. So make sure this is all relevant. This is dollars, this is time, right? So their investments now, they have over 500,000 at retirement, and so their need for life insurance has gone down because now they have the money to live,
Right.
and their spouse will be covered.
Right.
Yeah.
If they do it right now, then they might not even need to do
Yeah.
that.
So just
Then,
picture
but
it
they
like
can.
a UGG boot, right? Because that's what it is. It's like a boot, right? It does. That's what it looks like. So the other thing that's amazing with our company is this. We have something that's included in every one of our policies, and it's called the terminal illness rider. The terminal illness rider is if you found out that you were terminal, they would give you 40% of your face value. That includes this time as well. It never goes away. The terminal illness rider is till you're 100 years old. Okay? So have you ever known anybody who has been terminally ill? Now I'm talking to their heart again. Okay, so tell me a little bit about that, Tina.
They got cancer, suffered and lost their house and
Because the first thing that people, when they get terminal, they have to do what? They have to quit their,
job,
and the next week they don't have.
no money to pay the bills,
And then what happened to their group insurance?
cancer.
It's done. And their benefits from work and their health. And now with the clauses about, pre-existing conditions, COBRA might not even take them. So what happens to their financial situation when they get terminally ill? It's really bad. So
So
not only are they devastated, right, emotionally, physically, now they're financially ruined.
Is this the first time you give them the Achilles heel of group? Because group, the big problem for me, which I didn't realize, was
Yeah.
if I get laid off or
Yeah, so we talk about that. Yeah, whatever insurance you have,
Yeah.
I've already discussed it.
Okay.
Yeah,
So they
and
already
it's in
know.
the, I've already said, you don't own it. It's trending, right? Japan doesn't even offer it anymore. China doesn't offer it anymore. It's not going to be here, right? Because we trend after them, right? You don't hear about companies giving more benefits and better benefits. And I just gave, everyone in our company, a bonus and, extra year pay for free. No, you hear about what? GM taking away the legal protection. GM taking away, right? So that's what happens. And the other thing is, who knows if you're going to die at work? Because group life covers you if you're on active payroll only.
That's the thing.
So if you get sick, the first thing you do is what? Go on disability.
Yeah.
Guess what that takes you off of? Active payroll.
Yeah.
You're no longer covered. Yeah, there's like 5 different things in the orientation
They're all
package
in
that
the-
say
they're
that.
all in the orientation.
So that is why, but I do that before. So terminal illness. Now let me tell you, we have something called the waiver of premium, okay? That if you were disabled, Primerica would pay your premiums for you, and your terminal illness rider goes up to 70% if you pick the waiver of premium. All right, so now you can get 70%. And when you pass, right, the beneficiary gets the remaining amount. So we don't just give you a portion of it. You do end up getting all of it, but it's at your timing and when your family needs it, not when we want to give it to you. All right? The other thing that I find is really quite emotional is we have a provision which other companies don't, and it's called the war clause. So we do not have a war clause in our policy, which means people used to think, well, I'm not in the military, what do I need a war clause for? It's not about that. 9/11. 9/11 was deemed an act of war or terrorism. Those people that were in the buildings, in the planes, on the ground, did not get paid their money. Why? Because the president said it was an act of war. Primerica is the only company with the integrity and the right policy to pay all of their claims. We got a letter from the President of the United States in our home office with all of these families and letters saying we're the only company with integrity that paid the claims.
Yeah.
What about just happened in Orlando with the bar?
Yeah.
Right? They named it an act of terrorism. Well, guess what? Only 2 people got paid. Guess who paid them? Primerica. Our company CEO went there and paid it in 2 days, the 2 people. So, no war clause. And then the last thing is, you know, we talked about doing your financial plan and helping you out of debt. But listen, sometimes when I sit with you, you didn't expect all this, right? Tina brought me over as a referral, and we're sitting here and we're kind of going and diving into a lot of personal information, and you may not have the funds or feel that you can really afford this at this time. So there's an option for you, because today's not decision day, okay? It's called the Increasing Benefit Rider. And what that means is, as I'm helping you out of debt and really just trying to help your financial situation, you can increase your insurance need as you become
Able to do it.
right? It frees up some money. So as I'm helping you out of debt,
That's
kind of
interesting.
rebudgeting what you're doing, you can increase your insurance 10%. So what does that mean? You'll get a letter. It'll say, happy anniversary, Kip. For $50,000 of additional coverage for $3.14, would you like the additional coverage starting now? If you check the box no, they'll never ask you again. All right? But if you leave it yes, every year it'll ask you, and essentially 10% by 10 years is what? 100%. You can double your insurance in the next 10 years. Not only is it budgetary and important that way, people's needs change. They get married, they buy a house, right? Their needs change, therefore their insurance change. They have more kids.
Great writer for younger kids.
Yeah,
person, yes.
yeah, it's perfect, yep, and it only goes to 54. After 54, it's not.
And they do, like,
Or
I got
55?
2 separate letters. I got one telling me about the increasing benefit rider and coming up, and then a second one saying how much my monthly payment was going up.
And
how
it's
much
very
my
little,
coverage-
isn't it? It was
Yeah,
like 15,000 for
and
$2.
It's basically check no and mail it back if you don't want it.
Yeah, otherwise it automatically happens. So that is all of the things that our term life offers you, and they're all included. The only one that's an extra fee is the waiver of premium. All the rest are included in the policy. Now listen, what matters the most to me is not what comes out of my mouth today, but what matters is when I deliver that policy, because that's the most important thing, right? So here's what we're gonna do, guys. We're gonna apply, what was it, 150? We're gonna put this 150 in escrow. Do you know what escrow is?
Yeah.
And if they say yes, you tell them anyways, because how many people will call and say, you took money out of my account, oh my God, I don't know. No, you say, escrow is like a down payment. It's money that's taken, sits until it's used for the specific purpose intended.
Right.
Just like your taxes or your insurance, right? The money's taken and it sits there. We apply, it's just like going to a college. Doesn't mean we're gonna go to the college, doesn't mean the college is gonna accept us, right? So it's not decision day. We apply, we get 30 to 60 days of free coverage. Why is that? Not because Lisa's super sweet, because, you're welcome. Not because Lisa's super sweet, but because you have to go through underwriting. And there's two things that are gonna happen. One is, I'm gonna ask you questions. They're gonna be health and hobby related. Do you wrestle alligators? Do you smoke crack? Do you jump from airplanes? And there's two things you gotta remember. One is tell the truth or remember what you told me, right? Because if they catch you lying, they'll deny you. The second is the medical. The nurse comes to your home, does blood and urine. She's there very quickly. Then it goes through underwriting. During that time, underwriting's going through. It's 30 to 60 days later. Your policy gets issued. I call you and say, congratulations, your policy's issued. You have something called a 20-day free look. You have 20 days to make a decision. There's only 3 decisions that can be made, okay? The first one is, no thank you, Lisa. I've changed my mind. I decided I don't want the coverage. Or the company said not take you. You either lied on your application or they found something wrong with you. So if either of them happen, the escrow's fully refunded to you and you're no longer covered. So you're out nothing. The second thing that can happen is we did your plan. You guys talked about it because today's just an estimate, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we can raise or lower either one of these, whether your budget doesn't afford it or you realize that you want more or less coverage, so we can change that. And the third thing we can do is we can keep the coverage. I actually open the policy, show you everything in writing, okay? And it is November, December would be your 30 to 60 days of free coverage. I deliver the policy, that escrow would cover January, and your next payment's not till February. That's how it works.
Now you give them 20-day free look, but it's by law it's 10. Right?
Yeah, Primerica actually gives you 30. But by the time the agent gets it from the time it's issued and delivered to the office, it takes at least 10 days. So you get these policies, you gotta boogie out there and get them. Because I'm guilty of the policy castle.
Policy cast.
Gotta get out there.
Marie seen it yesterday. Gave her anxiety about it. I'm like, amendment? No. Okay, good. All right, these ones I gotta get done right now. All right, that's it. I'm done. Let's go. I got an appointment.
Yeah.